Most people fail the CCNA 2026 on the questions hiding near the end of this round, and you are about to face every one of them. Here's the game: 23 real exam-style questions. Read each one, lock in your answer before the timer reveals it, and keep a running score. They get harder as you go, and the ones that trip up the most test takers are stacked near the finish. Make it to the end with your streak alive, and you will walk into the real exam ready. First question is up now. Question 1 of 23. How does Chef Configuration Management enforce a required device configuration? Option A. The Chef Infra Server uses its configured cookbook to push the required configuration to the remote device requesting updates. Option B. The installed agent on the device connects to the Chef Infra Server and pulls its required configuration from the cookbook. Option C. The Chef Infra Server uses its configured cookbook to alert each remote device when it is time for the device to pull a new configuration. Option D. The installed agent on the device queries the Chef Infra Server, and the server responds by pushing the configuration from the cookbook. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. Exam logic. Chef uses a pull-based model where an installed agent on the device connects to the central server to retrieve its configuration. This is a key distinction from push-based automation tools, as the client initiates the configuration request. Question 2 of 23. Which protocol is used for secure remote CLI access? Option A. Telnet. Option B. HTTP. Option C. HTTPS. Option D. SSH. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option D. Why it works? Secure Shell provides encrypted remote command line access to network devices. Telnet sends traffic in clear text, and HTTP or HTTPS are used for web-based graphical interfaces, so they can be eliminated. Question 3 of 23. Which protocol prompts the wireless LAN controller to generate its own local web administration SSL certificate for GUI access? Option A. Radius. Option B. HTTPS. Option C. TSAX+. Option D. HTTP. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option B. Key cue. Enabling HTTPS prompts a wireless LAN controller to generate a local self-signed SSL certificate for secure graphical access. HTTP lacks encryption, while Radius and TACAX+ handle authentication rather than web certificates. Question 4 of 23. When a floating static route is configured, which action ensures that the backup route is used when the primary route fails? Option A. The administrative distance must be higher on the primary route so that the backup route becomes secondary. Option B. The default information originate command must be configured for the route to be installed into the routing table. Option C. The floating static route must have a lower administrative distance than the primary route, so it is used as a backup. Option D. The floating static route must have a higher administrative distance than the primary route, so it is used as a backup. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option D. Behind the answer, a floating static route is assigned a higher administrative distance than the primary route, so it stays inactive until the primary fails. This ensures the backup path only installs when the preferred path disappears. Question 5 of 23. Which IPv6 interface configuration creates a unique local address that is routable within the organization, but not on the public internet? Option A. Interface VLAN 2000 IPv6 address the IPv6 address shown on screen. Option B. Interface VLAN 2000 IPv6 address the IPv6 address shown on screen. Option C. Interface VLAN 2000 IPv6 address the IPv6 address shown on screen. Option D. Interface VLAN 2000 IPv6 address the IPv6 address shown on screen. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. Reasoning. IPv6 unique local addresses use the FDW/8 prefix for locally assigned addresses and are not routable on the public internet. The FE80 designates multicast traffic. You are 25% in. Score check. Everyone you nail now is exam confidence in the bank. Question 6 of 23. Which spanning tree feature allows an access port connected to an end host to move immediately to the forwarding state? Option A, BPDU guard. Option B, port fast. Option C, root guard. Option D, loop guard. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option B. What the exam tests here. PortFast allows an access port to bypass the listening and learning states and transition directly to forwarding. The other features are loop prevention mechanisms. BPDU guard, root guard, and loop guard restrict or block ports rather than speeding up their transition. Question 7 of 23. Which protocol is used to securely access a Cisco device for remote management? Option A, Telnet. Option B, SSH. Option C, TFTP. Option D, SNMP-v1. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option B. Exam logic. Secure Shell encrypts the management session, protecting credentials and command output. It is the preferred secure remote access method for network devices. Telnet and TFTP send data in clear text, exposing sensitive information to interception. Question 8 of 23. A DHCP pool named NOC has already been created and configured with the network the IP range shown on screen. The pool must use the next-to-last usable IP address as the default gateway for DHCP clients. Which command should be configured next? Option A. Next server the IP address shown on screen. Option B. Network the IP address shown on screen, the subnet mask shown on screen secondary. Option C. Default router the IP address shown on screen. Option D. IP default gateway the IP address shown on screen. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option C. Why it works. In a /24 network, the last usable address is 254, making the next to last usable address 253. The default router command configures the gateway distributed to DHCP clients. The IP default gateway command is only used on the local device. Question 9 of 23. What is the purpose of the IP address DHCP command? Option A. To configure an interface as a DHCP relay. Option B. To configure an interface as a DHCP client. Option C. To configure an interface as a DHCP helper. Option D. To configure an interface as a DHCP server. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. KeyQ. The IP address DHCP command is configured under an interface and instructs that interface to obtain its IP address dynamically from a DHCP server. Helper and relay commands are incorrect because they forward client requests rather than requesting an address for the router itself. Question 10 of 23. What is the primary effect of the spanning tree portfast command? Option A. It immediately enables the port in the listening state. Option B. It immediately puts the port into the forwarding state when the link comes up. Option C. It enables BPDU messages. Option D. It recalculates spanning tree topology faster across the entire network. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option B. Behind the answer, the spanning tree portfast command causes an access port to transition immediately to the forwarding state when the link becomes active, bypassing the listening and learning states. This affects only the local port and does not speed up spanning tree recalculations across the network. Question 11 of 23. Which access layer threat mitigation technique provides security based on identity? Option A. Dynamic ARP inspection. Option B. DHCP snooping? Option C. 802.1x. Option D. Using a non-default native VLAN. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option C. Reasoning. IEEE 802.1x provides port-based network access control and authenticates users or devices before granting network access. The other options are incorrect because they mitigate Layer 2 spoofing or VLAN hopping rather than enforcing identity-based security. Halfway done. The back half is where the real exam is won, so lock back in right now. Question 12 of 23. On Windows workstations configured for automatic IP addressing, which protocol provides the default gateway information? Option A. STP. Option B. DHCP. Option C. SNMP. Option D. DNS. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option B. What the exam tests here. Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol provides IP configuration information to Windows workstations, including the IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and DNS server addresses. The other options are incorrect because they handle routing, monitoring, or name resolution rather than dynamic address assignment. Question 13 of 23. What is a characteristic of RSA? Option A. It uses pre-shared keys for encryption. Option B. It is an asymmetric encryption algorithm. Option C. It is a symmetric decryption algorithm. Option D. It requires both sides to have identical keys for encryption. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option B. Exam logic. RSA is an asymmetric encryption algorithm that uses a pair of keys, allowing secure communication without sharing a secret key in advance. The other options are incorrect because they describe symmetric encryption, which requires both sides to share an identical secret key. Question 14 of 23. Which SDN plane is responsible for forwarding user traffic through the network? Option A. Application plane. Option B. Control plane. Option C. Data plane. Option D. Management plane. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option C. Why it works. The data plane is responsible for actually forwarding user traffic based on MAC and IP routing tables. Remember that the control plane makes the decisions, but the data plane performs the actual work of moving the packets. Question 15 of 23. What is a characteristic of a Layer 2 switch? Option A. Provides a single broadcast domain for all connected devices. Option B. Tracks the number of active TCP connections. Option C. Offers one collision domain for all connected devices. Option D. Makes forwarding decisions based on MAC addresses. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option D. Key Q. A Layer 2 switch makes forwarding decisions based on destination MAC addresses. Each switch port represents a separate collision domain, and communication between different VLANs requires routing, disproving the single broadcast domain distractor. Question 16 of 23. Which QoS queuing method discards or marks packets that exceed the desired bitrate of traffic flow? Option A. CBWFQ. Option B. Policing. Option C. LLQ. Option D. Shaping. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option B. Behind the answer, policing enforces a configured traffic rate by dropping or marking packets that exceed the defined bitrate. Shaping delays excess traffic using queues, while CBWFQ and LLQ manage active queue scheduling. 75% down. This is the part that decides it. Stay sharp. Question 17 of 23. A DHCP pool has been created with the name Control. The pool uses the next-to-last usable IP address as the default gateway for the DHCP clients. The server is located at the IP address shown on screen. What is the next step in the process for clients on the IP range shown on screen subnet to reach the DHCP server? Option A. IP helper address the IP address shown on screen. Option B. IP default gateway the IP address shown on screen. Option C. IP forward protocol UDP 137. Option D. IP default network the IP address shown on screen. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option A. Reasoning. A router interface requires the IP helper address command to forward DHCP broadcast requests to a server on a different subnet. Configuring a default gateway or forward protocol does not directly relay DHCP discover messages across broadcast domains. Question 18 of 23. How does MAC learning function on a switch? Option A. Associates the MAC address with the port on which it is received. Option B. Rewrites the source and destination MAC address. Option C. Broadcasts frames to all ports without queuing. Option D. Sends an ARP request to locate unknown destinations. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option A. What the exam tests here. MAC learning occurs when a switch examines the source MAC address of an incoming frame and associates it with the ingress port. Switches do not rewrite MAC addresses during learning, nor do they use ARP requests to populate the CAM table. Question 19 of 23. A port security violation has occurred on a switch port due to the maximum MAC address count being exceeded. Which command must be configured to increment the security violation count and forward an SNMP trap? Option A. Switch port security violation access. Option B. Switch port security violation protect. Option C. Switch port security violation restrict. Option D. Switch port security violation shutdown. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option C. Exam logic. The restrict violation mode drops unauthorized traffic while incrementing the violation counter and sending SNMP traps. Protect mode drops frames silently without incrementing the counter, while shutdown mode immediately disables the interface. Question 20 of 23. Which interface IP address is used as the source of CAPWAP packets between a Cisco WLC and an access point? Option A. Service. Option B. Trunk. Option C. Management interface. Option D. Virtual AP connection. Make the call before the reveal. Hold the line on it. The answer is option C. Why it works? The management interface on a Cisco wireless LAN controller is the default source IP address for CAPWAP packets exchanged with access points. The other options are either not valid WLC interfaces or do not handle CAPWAP tunnel termination. Question 21 of 23. Which command should you enter to verify the priority of a router in an HSRP group? Option A. Show HSRP. Option B. Show sessions. Option C. Show interfaces. Option D. Show standby. Choose the best answer before the reveal. Commit to it now. The answer is option D. Key Q. The show standby command displays HSRP group details, including the configured priority, active state, and virtual IP address. Show sessions displays management connections, and show interfaces does not provide first hop redundancy protocol states. Home stretch. Nail these closers and you have proven you are ready. Question 22 of 23. What does traffic shaping do? Option A. It queues excess traffic. Option B. It sets QoS attributes within a packet. Option C. It organizes traffic into classes. Option D. It modifies the QoS attributes of a packet. Lock in your pick before the reveal. Trust the read. The answer is option A. Behind the answer, traffic shaping regulates outbound bandwidth by buffering excess packets in a queue to smooth out traffic bursts. This is different from marking or organizing packets and it avoids dropping packets like policing does. Question 23 of 23. Where does the configuration reside when a helper address is configured to support DHCP? Option A, on the router closest to the server. Option B, on the router closest to the client. Option C, on every router along the path. Option D, on the switch trunk interface. Decide on the strongest option before the reveal. Stay with your gut. The answer is option B. Reasoning. The IP helper address must be configured on the router interface connected to the client to forward local broadcast requests. The router then forwards these packets as unicast to the remote server.